Welcome to the Tick Tock Podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. All right, we are back for another Tick Tock episode together. I just want to do a shout out to our launch team. You guys are killing it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing this podcast with your friends and family. Thank you so much for the great reviews. And if you have not yet joined the exclusive TikTok launch team, what are you waiting for? You can get the link in the show notes, and I would love for you to just kick off this journey with me. So thank you. And we've got some more exciting things coming. So you're going to have to stay tuned. Things like, I don't know, the TikTok tribe. Yeah, maybe a little community, a little collab happening. I mean, who knows? Maybe even merch is coming down the road. I don't know. Am I getting too ahead of myself? Probably. Well, on our last episode, we talked about the 5 things that are not time management or not healthy time management, or really not our focus when it comes to time management. So, appropriately, our episode today is all about what is time management. The 5 things that we're going to emphasize when it comes to time mastery, time management. Remember, not a lot of rules and or restrictions. Instead, this is freedom and empowerment. Freedom and empowerment. You're not going to be held captive to this time management situation. Instead, you're going to be its master. So, how's that sound? Sounds pretty good to me. Let's talk about, really in no particular order, what these 5 top things that I believe time management to be. I am going to save my favorite one and a story for the end. So, number one of the things, and you know what, honestly, there could be way more than 5. So, for sake of time, we're going to do 5 today. Number 1 would be priority management. Number 1 for time management is actually priority management. This entails knowing the importance of identifying and prioritizing your tasks and your goals, because honestly, you could have so many things on your list, on your calendar, on your to-dos that you could never, ever, ever tackle it. It will never be over, right? So, how do we limit that? How do we limit what we put on our plate? How do we limit what gets our attention? Well, prioritizing. It's kind of like, let's make the first thing the first thing. I remember way back when I was in my career at the TV station, I felt completely out of control with my time management, not only because I was working about 80 hours a week and on call 24 hours a day, and I'm showing my age, but I slept with a pager by my bed. Yeah. But I felt totally out of control because my time did not align with my priorities. The things that were really important to me, I did not have time for. Therefore, I felt like I was out of control with my time management. I have a question for you. Or really, I don't know, maybe a little awakening. If I looked at your current date book or your calendar, it doesn't matter if it's messy or how it looks, if it's digital or on paper. If I looked at that today, what would I think are the most important things to you based on what you have in your schedule? It's kind of scary and hopefully a little exciting, because this experience, this adventure, this journey we're going to be on together is about aligning those priorities and really taking hold on that. So, all right, when it comes to time management, how is your priority management? Does everyone else's priorities take precedence? Are you really not even clear what they are? Maybe this is a time to have a few quiet moments to yourself and say, what is important to me? And if I were to have somebody open up my calendar, open up my date book, would it reflect that? Or would it be just all over the place and really confusing? Number 2, that time management is number 2 is planning management. And I'm going to actually add another word, effective planning. And the reason I added effective is it has to work for you because you could have some great planning advice given to you or some great planning tips and tricks. But honestly, if it's not going to be effective for you, if someone else's to do list or their scheduling tool or how they organize their tasks or what their importance or their deadlines are, if that's not effective for you, again, it's not going to be relevant. So, when it comes to planning, are you the kind of person that needs to have a bird's eye view, a month in a glance, a month ahead of time? Or are you the kind of person that says, before I go to bed, I'm going to plan out the next day? Do you like to have it down to the minute? Do you like to time block? So, these are, again, so many things that we're going to discuss and great topics to address. But that's the second thing that I want you to kind of just start to emphasize. All right, first was priorities, and second was planning. So let's move on to number three. I believe time management is also goal setting. Goal setting management, goal management, right? So I know many of you know the SMART goals. It's the acronym and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant is one of the R's, or it could also be um, that it is not just relevant for you, but it's realistic. Some people add that in. And then T is time sensitive or time bound. So it has to have some kind of deadline. That's a SMART goal. That's the criteria that most of us know for goal setting. Well, you might think, what in the world does goal setting have to do with my time management? Well, just for an example, at the beginning of every week, I set three intentions. Three intentions. Some are for my personal life, some are for my professional. And you can imagine that for the last few weeks, I have had growing this podcast, growing this company, growing that is definitely one of my intentions, right? Because do you ever get to the end of the week and you wonder where your week went or what happened or why you're still in the same place week after week or month after month? It's probably because there has not been a focus on goal setting and then translating that goal setting into what that looks like daily and weekly. So, how's your goal setting? How's that muscle? Have you worked that out at all? Or, oh, is it time to get back in the goal setting gym? Number 4 is task delegation. Yeah, time management can actually have to do with task delegation. It's an art. It's an art. We'll talk about how to do it. It's an art because it empowers you and it empowers other people. Because the best part of this magic sauce, is that you can make more time. Have you ever said, "Ugh, I need more than 24 hours in a day." Well, guess what? You can have more than 20 hours a day. You can actually make more than 24 hours in a day because sometimes you buy that time, sometimes you barter that time, and that comes in the form of delegation. Delegation. And again, it can be bought by maybe an assistant or someone that's going to be working with you. And oh, you guys, this is so funny. I'm sitting here recording. Can you hear that in the background? I will not edit that out. Those are the Blue Angels. So I live on Pensacola Beach. I live over the flight plan, that the flight path that the Blue Angels take. I'm obsessed with them. I'm sure I will do an episode on them. And they just flew over my head and it just makes me smile. It's like the best part of my day. And now you got to hear it, maybe, if you turn your volume up for that part. So, again, you might have professional help that you buy, you might have bartering help that you trade off. But what that does is that compounds your time. It actually multiplies your time. So you can be doing one thing that's most important while somebody else is carrying out another task. Because my new friend, I mean, we've messaged back and forth in Instagram, and I'm sure she's going to be on my podcast and I'll be on hers. Paula Ferris, she wrote a book called You Don't Have to Carry It All. You don't have to carry it all. Sometimes you need to take a little bit of that load and let somebody else carry some of that load too. All right. So let's just recap so far because we're almost to my absolute favorite one. So, time management is priority management, it's planning management, but especially effective planning management, it's goal setting, it's task delegation. And at this point, you might be like, yeah, I am checking all the boxes. Or you might think, well, no wonder, yikes, no wonder I'm struggling. Well, either way, number 5 is the capper. Number 5 is the be all end all, the hero. And this was a huge aha for me because I believe if you didn't hear anything else, that's fine. I want you to listen to this one. Time management is actually, in my opinion, emotional and energy management. That's really what it is. Because I have found if I'm in a good place emotionally, mentally, spiritually, with my energy, then I find the time. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult to just dive in and get something done or be efficient or say no to things that I need to say no to or say yes to things that I need to say yes to that are best for me or to really maximize the minutes that I have. I can do that when I'm in a good place emotionally and with my energy level. And then the opposite is true. When my emotions are tanking, when I am not in a healthy place, when I maybe don't feel good and I don't have that energy, then I'm going to probably find other things to do. I'm going to stick my head in the sand. I'm going to start to justify or rationalize or even blame people or compare myself. It's not a healthy place to be. And so, my story on this, and it's kind of silly, and some of you have heard it before, but I was in college. I was taking, I think, 23 credit hours. Also, my minor was in music. So that also meant that I was practicing outside of, I play the violin, I was practicing outside of everything else. I had no time for nothing and no one. That's not good grammar, but I had no time. And so if you would have said to me all the other things, I was like, that's all good and great, but I could not add one more thing to my schedule. And then I met a boy. He was this tall, 6'3", blonde, curly hair, green eyed artist. I met him on campus. And all of a sudden, I found time. I found time for hours and hours to talk to him and see him and spend time with him. It was not in any way difficult to find the time to spend with him. Now, here's the rest of the story. As Paul Harvey said, I ended up marrying him. His name is Josh Brigham. He's my husband. So that was a good call. That was a good call. But it really is, I think, the perfect example because my energy was high, my emotions were high. Finding the time was, it was a breeze. So, we're going to have future episodes on that. How do we maintain healthy emotional balance? How do we know the high energy times in which we should do specific tasks or where we should put our focus on when it comes to things for our building our business or growing relationships? So I believe that's really the key. So let's just have a little, we call it a checkup from the neck up. How am I emotionally? How is my energy? And if nothing else, that's probably where I need to get started. So, which one resonated with you today? Are you thinking, you know what, it is time to get my priorities in order? It is time to actually have a plan or to see if my plan that I've been doing works at all. I've not set a goal or a meaningful goal in a long time. Maybe it's time that I finally release that I don't have to do everything and I should start empowering other people to. Or maybe I've been focusing on the wrong thing. Maybe I've been beating myself up when in reality, I need to start building myself up. So, thank you for listening to another episode. I cannot wait for Friday. It's going to be our first feature Friday with our first guest. Yeah, we're already there. We're already there. We're going to be honoring Veterans Day and Veterans Day weekend. And who better than have a wife of someone who served our country and how it relates to her time management when he is gone a lot and she is the sole parent. She's not a single parent, she's a solo parent. How does she manage her time? What does that look like? So, if we have any folks out there that are in the military, first of all, thank you. We honor you. Any veterans out there, thank you for your service. And anybody that feels like sometimes they're a solo parent, this one's going to be for you. So, thanks for listening today. I'm having a blast, and I am so glad you're with me on this fun adventure. Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.